Good morning, my friends. Yes, I just got out of the shower. I did hot yoga this morning. So, I always talk about healing. So, here we go. Let's get into it. So, life is really about patterns, right? It's the patterns that your parents set up for you, your belief system, your, disciplines, your thought processes, whether it was negative, positive, right? Life is all about patterns, and our lifetime is about figuring out what patterns are good and what patterns aren't. The thing is I don't know. I was raised in a very negative family, worry warts, and the sky is falling, and the thing is I didn't start figuring this shit out until I was about 30, and 30 something, and I started figuring out a lot of stuff. What patterns were good, what patterns weren't. And I tried to start changing my mindset. But in that time period, I actually was married to somebody who wasn't very good. So, it was really hard to change that and still try to be raising my children. And so, anyways, the thing is when I hit that sweet spot of figuring out that I needed to change. It wasn't anybody else. It was my patterns that I needed to change. I changed my mindset from negative to positive. I changed how I look at things. I changed how I did things. Was very different from how I was raised. And, I do implore you that if you are raising kids, look at the patterns you were raised with and the patterns that you need to change, because, the world is changing as we speak. And things are going to be very different. And you have to be pliable in that. So, look at your patterns. If you were raised in a very narcissistic family system, you're probably codependent, or you're probably a narcissistic asshole, You're not going to change, but the people who are codependent have that choice. So, my thing is if you're a people pleaser, stop people pleasing. Look at the pattern of why you are the way you are and where it came from. If you're just listening to somebody over here, your mom, your dad telling you, this is the way we do things, this is how our family is, that is a huge red flag right there. Because, family is everything. Normally that is a toxic situation, because that person is probably the person who controls your family and your thinking. Be your true, authentic self. Find that person. Change your patterns and stop taking on everybody else's beliefs as your own. Take your beliefs and separate it from who taught you those things, because that is control, coercive control. So, my thing here is if you have rescued and enabled people your entire life, ask yourself why. And is it really good for the people you're rescuing? Because let me break it down, the enabling part. When you rescue people, you're creating a dependent person. Then they're not going to be able to find their way out of a wet paper sack, and they're going to be dumb as fuck. So the thing is you're taking away their self-confidence and their self-worth by rescuing them. If they make bad choices, you have to step back and let them figure it out. And I know that's hard after a whole lifetime of a pattern that you've rescued them, but now they're not going to learn from the consequences because you take those consequences away from them, which means they're never going to learn. So you have to be able to step back, let them make their bad choices and not pay for the bad choices, because that's the only way they're going to learn. And so, it's going to be hard, but guess what? That's when they're going to start getting the self-confidence and their self-worth and knowing that they can do this themselves. So I'm just saying, this is part of life's patterns that we have to be able to look at through the lens of truth, through the lens of, wow, I really fucked that up. You know what? Let me own that and change my pattern. We all have that power in us to be able to change and allow other people to learn and let go of the people pleasing. You can still love people in your life, give them advice, give them emotional support, give them the love and the What are they looking for? They are looking for vulnerability from you, realness and authenticity. That's what they need.